In a previous demo about strings, I explained how the GVM optimizes the amount of memory allocated for string literals, namely that for each literal string in the pool, only one copy is stored. This is called interning a string. Why store only one copy? First of all, to save space in memory. Second, interning string speeds up string comparisons. This is what I want to demonstrate in this demo. Just one class containing the main methods. The first two string variables apple1 and apple2 are initialized using a string literal. This will result in both apple1 and apple2 to refer to the same object in the string constant pool. Apple3 is constructed using new and will be located at a different address in the heap. All this has been explained in a previous demo about strings. Now, in the next two lines, I compare the content of the string objects using the equals method. Debugging this piece of code will make the advantage of intern string apparent. We'll know the difference in performance between the first and the second comparison. Let's see what happens in a debug session. So here is the code in Eclipse. I set a breakpoint at line 8 and let's start the debugger. Run debug. So execution is stopped at the breakpoint, and let's first examine the objects. Apple1 has an identity of 23 with a reference to the value character array of ID 29, and this is where the apple is stored, the ASCII codes of the apple. Apple2 refers to the same object, ID 23. And then Apple3, which is created using the new operator, is located at a different address. It's a different object, but as explained in a previous demo, internally, since the string it contains is the same as an already existing string, it refers to the same character array. But we're dealing with two different objects, ID 28 and ID 23. And let's compare the content now using the equals method. I repeat that Apple1 and Apple2 refer to the same object. Let's have a look at how the equals is implemented. So I jump into the equals method. And the first tests consist of comparing two references. This is a simple identity check. Simple but very effective, since quick and easily carried out at runtime. In our example, since both objects refer to the same intern string, this simple object identity test is enough to determine whether the strings are equal. This refers to our apple1, and our parameter apple2 is an object, is the other one. So both refer to the same objects. We have this ID 23 and an object ID 23. And it's what you see as well in the variables window that displays the stack frame. So this identity check results in an equality, results in true. The next equals method checks an intern string with a non-intern string, Apple2 and Apple3. We jump to the same equals method, but now since both objects are different, let's see what happens then. The if statement results in false. What is executed then? Well, actually an equals method of a helper class. And what is that executing? Well, it'll check in a for loop the content of the first string with the content of the other string. So it is iterating through the entire string, which is of course much more process intensive compared to an identity check. Now we can improve the performance with Apple3. How? Well, to intern the Apple3. With a string object that was created on the heap using new, as is the case with Apple3, you can still get the string object from the pool using the intern method. What does the API say about the intern method? Well, when it is invoked, if the pool already contains a string equals to the string object, then the string from the pool is returned. Otherwise, this string object is added to the pool and a reference to this string object is returned. In our case, interning a string checks first of all whether apple already is interned, which is the case. So we expect when executing this line and assigning the return value to a new variable that intern apple will refer to the already interned string object, namely 23. Let's execute it, and that is the case. Comparing now apple2 with the interned apple is executed quickly because we are using the identity check, which yields a true. So, to resume, looking at the API code of some string classes, interning string is interesting because first of all, memory space is saved, and second, when examining the equals method, it becomes apparent that checking for equality by testing object identity, the identity check is way faster than when having to compare each letter in an array with those in another array using the extensive compare. I hope you have a better understanding now about intern strings. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.